and welcome everyone. Yay!
Morning.
Lovely to have you all back. I'm going to mute everyone. And so did anyone get did anyone have a chance to look at the message from me this morning that you received by email? Great. Was it good? Did you like it? I can't, my computer's frozen, so I can't unmute you, Kara. When I say frozen, my mouse is on timer.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, I cried my eyes out.
Ah.
And what came to me, and maybe I'm just in a low mood today, but what came to me is I haven't believed that anyone really loved me. But I felt your love.
Good.
Good. Yeah, I did. And then I thought, I'm going to send this to my kids too. I mean, I can imagine singing that to them.
Yes.
Yeah, so wonderful. Thank you.
Oh, good.
Beautiful
I'm so
song.
glad. Well, when I first found it, when I first came across it, and I think it had just come out, was, you know, a few years ago. I was still in Gloucester in England, still not where I wanted to be. You know, I was on my own and still, I'd started to change my memories and that, but I hadn't seen the change in my circumstances yet. And I practiced, I listened, when I listened to that song, I cried as well. My tears were streaming. and I imagined it right then as my grandparents and my mum singing it to me. Because I changed those memories and that made me cry. And then I imagined singing it to my son, and that made me cry, and so on. And then I sent it to my son and my sister and my brother and my mum. So, you know, I sent it to people because I think that it's just such a powerful thing. And and then the main thing I want to say is that, and then I was listening to it every day. And when I wasn't listening to it, I was singing it in my head while walking like to the shop and back, and that, pretending that I already loved my life, pretending that whatever was going to, and I couldn't imagine this now, what I'm living now. I couldn't have imagined somebody like Steve even exists. I couldn't have, I didn't know what I have now even existed, so I couldn't wish for it. But what I did do was, it was that touchstone thing. I just, whenever I thought about anything, you know, my life or anything, I just went, I love my life. I love my life, even though I didn't know what that would look like. And then when, you know, when I ended up here, when I met Steve and ended up in this life, that's exactly how I feel. I love my life. And so the point I'm making is, I got the feeling back then before I had the things that produce that feeling, and then now I've got what matches that same feeling. So that's what I hope that's encouraging for everyone as well, because that's, you know, it's that tricky moment. It's what we were talking about yesterday, of being able to turn the wheel before you can see where you want to be. It's that trust, and that just takes, you know, continuing along, and so I'm so glad that you liked it, Kara, and I do mean, that is how I feel about all of you. So very good. And so, Kara, since we've got you online at the moment, what any questions, or how are you doing? We'll go around to you.
You know, I haven't been really scared about the whole corona thing until today.
Okay.
And well, finances are an issue because I don't qualify for any of the things that are coming, apparently.
Right.
And I can't work right now.
Right.
So that's up for me. And then going on Facebook, which I probably shouldn't have done this morning, but now there are all these protests happening all over the country, and it seems like it's all heating up. And so that scares me a little bit. Yeah.
So, okay, so let's look at those things one at a time. So the first thing is the finances. And I know there's a lot of people in that situation, of course, at the moment. And what I can say from experience is that when when we can't see how something can happen, so we can't see how we can get money, or how the financial situation will change, or anything, or how we can get from here to there, it doesn't mean that there isn't a way. It just means that we just can't see it from where we are. So, when you're driving somewhere and you get to the end of the road, you can't see around the corner until you actually turn the corner. And, from where, and I remember this so well myself, that from where I was, I could not see a way out. I could not see how anything was possible. But then when it happened, it was like, oh my, how did I not see that before? And it's because of changing the perception, because of changing the references, and of course, staying in that feel-good state changes your ability to see things, and the ability of your brain to process information and come up with solutions like, that you wouldn't have seen before. So there will be ways for money to come to you that you can't see from where you are right now, and that's absolutely okay. The way to do it, so what I've done for quite a while now, is when I can't think of what to do, or I can't think of a solution, I go very quiet and I go back to the superpower and just be in that state. Because in that moment, when you are filled with that power, that unconditional love, and think of the worst case scenarios, so I'll never get money. Love that anyway. And then what? Well, then I'll be thrown out of my house. Love that anyway. And then what will I do? Well, I'll have to go to a shelter, or I'll have to, find a friend, or so go through what's the very, very worst that can happen. Because one of the things that scares us most is because we don't know. We just go, this is scary. And of course, we're designed that way. But when you start drilling down, like, how bad can this really get? And what will I do then? So it's kind of like having a contingency plan. So, and I did this when I couldn't pay my rent, again. I remember one particular time, and it was my sister who said to me, okay, so what's wrong with that? How bad can this get? And I did not want to go there. But she said, no, you need, face it, so that you know what's going to happen. And when you make peace with the worst case scenario, you won't have to experience it. So my rent at that time, I think, was £500, and I didn't have it. And I was terrified because I had not, I'd been late before. And she said, okay, so what's the worst that can happen? And it was, well, then I'm going to be evicted, and she said, and then what will you do? And then I don't know. Okay, so I'll drill down that the worst case scenario would be I would be in the street on a bench with no money and no friends, and nobody likes me, and that's the very, very worst place I can be. And she said, and then what will you do? And I thought, I'll start again. Then I'll have to just start again. So because our biggest fear is dying, when you drill down like that, you get to the point where, okay, I'm not going to die. I will just have to start again, or they will be angry with me, or whatever. But at least, you get to that point. But then if your fear is you will die, then you take that further and you go, okay, so what if I die? What's the worst thing about that? So, what will I do then? And then depending on your beliefs, you'll figure out what you'll do then. So you make peace with the worst case scenario, fill that with unconditional love it all anyway, and you'll suddenly start to find, you start thinking of ideas, you start noticing opportunities. Someone calls you or contacts you and says, can you do this? Or how about that? Because today it is easier than ever to make money. It's easier than it's ever been because of the internet, and because of not just the internet, but the connection between people, how comfortable people are now with the internet, and how close it brings us all. So, I mean, just off the top of my head, blogs and YouTube videos and other, and of course little businesses and things, but even just sharing your experience of what's going on now, either through a blog or on a video, on a YouTube channel or whatever, there's potential there, because everyone has at least 1,000 people in this world who want to hear from them, who want to listen to them, who want to follow them. They just need to find you. And it'll be much more than 1,000, but at least 1,000. So in all the billions of people in the world, every single person will connect with a whole lot of other people. And the problem is just finding those people, but because of the internet, of course, it's much easier. So, and if you think about, some of the weird stuff that's out there that people are subscribing to and paying for and following and supporting, there is nothing that won't get some kind of following and that you can't make money with. It's about thinking outside of the box. And in order to do that, of course, you need to be in a calm state with your prefrontal cortex online, and your subconscious references need to allow that,
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you. You're very welcome. And then the second part of your question which was Facebook and the demonstrations that are going on in that. So, and again, that can be scary if you're watching it or reading about it or whatever. And remember that wherever you're putting your focus is where it is determining what you're feeling. The problem is it can be difficult not to put your focus there because it's the tiger. And so we all have the compulsion to focus on the danger because that's survival. So it's about replacing it, finding something to replace it with. So instead of looking at that, so the first thing is to go, is there anything I can actually do about this? So is there something I can do to change this situation? And if not, then what am I going to do instead? So I'm going to watch a comedy, I'm going to listen to music, I'm going to do an activity I love, or whatever that is. So replace it with someone, so that something, and then focus on what you're going to replace it with, rather than on not doing the thing you don't want to, you're trying to avoid. Because it's that thing of, if I'm going, I'm not going to watch that, then that's where the focus is. But you go, I'm not going to watch that, I'm going to watch this instead, and make sure that your focus is on the thing you want to move towards. So we go in the direction we're facing. Does that help?
It does. I'm just afraid I'm going to miss something important.
Right. And that's a
there, and I think, okay, I'm just going to see like a little capsule,
right,
of what of any news that there is, and then next thing you know, I'm on there.
You've slid down that slope. Yes, and I know that feeling. I've had that in the past myself. And I suppose the main thing is, it's understandable that you don't want to miss any. You want to make sure in case there's something important. And so the way I look at that, so I know that there are demonstrations, but I haven't had the time to look into it. And if I was worried about it, I would not watch any of that until I was not worried, and then I'll watch it. You know what I mean? But what I do is, I know that if there's something really important, someone's going to tell me. If like somebody said, from yesterday in Illinois, it's now you have to wear a mask if you go out. It's because it's the law now. You're not allowed to go out without a mask. Well, someone told me that, so now I know, and I don't need to go and watch any of the cabaret, to do with any of that. Yeah. And again, it's and you could even do, with a friend. Look, just let me know if there's anything that I need to know that's going to affect me and my life. Because there is that thing of, I need to know what's going on in the world. My mum used to say that a lot. But then my question is, why? Why do we need to know what's going on in the world? If there's something we can do about it, great, absolutely, yes. Or if it's going to affect us, like we need to take some kind of action or avoid something or whatever, fair enough, or those that we love. But if it's just, people demonstrating against something that we can't do anything about, then there's not really any benefit to knowing the details of it. And so you could say to a friend, look, if there's anything important I need to know, could you just let me know? And then you don't need to worry about it. And then immediately focus on things that do make you feel good. Does that help a bit?
That's very helpful. Thank you.
Good. You're very, very welcome, Karen. Thank you for sharing.
Of course.
All right, so let's go on to the next one on the screen is Bogislava. Hi, Bogislava. How are you today? And any questions?
Good morning. Okay, thank you. Questions? I don't have a questions actually. Thank you for the email this morning and listen to this song. Of course, I was crying.
Yes.
But yes, it's very beautiful song. The words are amazing. So
yes. Yeah. Yes. Oh, good. I'm so glad you enjoyed it.
I'm gonna learn those lyrics and I'm gonna sing to myself.
Good. Good. Yes.
Mostly the one is repeating.
Yes.
I don't know how you call those phrases.
The chorus.
Yes. So
the chorus. Yes.
I'm gonna sing to myself every day.
Good job. Very, very good. And you know, as you've been speaking now, I thought as well. You know, if anyone wants to use that, at least the first couple of lines of that chorus as your power phrase, as your phrase for getting into the state, you know, the superpower state, you can do that as well. So, or just I love my life. You can, I love my life, and you can feel that, you know, get into that state. So
yeah, but the other thing is too, like you are powerful, or you.
Yes.
Something I don't remember, but yeah, it's all of them.
All of the words are good. Yeah, yeah.
I feel good about it when. Yeah, it's nice. It's wonderful anyway.
Yay! It's wonderful. It's lovely, and it's true.
Yes,
that's what's so wonderful
if
about
it's true, maybe I don't know yet, but
yeah, it is true. We just don't recognize it yet. And then once you've practiced it and you're using your superpower and you're changing those memories, it will become obvious, and you'll go, well, of course it's true.
Then yes, for sure, yeah. And I have a question about touchstone. What is exactly touchstone? Like exactly, I don't understand well.
All right. So touchstone is one moment in time that represents you have what you want. So an example is, I love my life. And you don't know the details. You don't know where you're living or who's there or how much money you have or anything else. You just know that you love your life, because everything we want in life, everything we want to change, everything we want to get is because of the way we think we'll feel, right? So if I want to win the lottery, it's because I think it will feel wonderful. If I want more money, it's because I think it will make me feel secure and safe and wonderful, and I can do what I want. And doing what I want has a feeling. If I want a happy relationship, it's because of the way it will make me feel. Now, I can identify that feeling and use that as the touchstone. So even before I met Steve, before I knew Steve existed, I had the feeling of, I love my life. I felt loved, I felt love, and I felt, safe, happy, at peace, and all of those things. And that was the touchstone. I love my life. And then Steve turned up and I moved here, and, money and, things improved to match that feeling of I love my life, which is the touchstone. Mm-hmm. So a touchstone can also be an imagining high-fiving a friend, going, I did it. Or just saying to yourself, I did it. Yes. And you don't know what it is, but it's that feeling. Mm-hmm. It's the finish line of the race. So you don't know what the race is going to be, but you've gone through the finish line. Does that help?
Yes, it's kind of like you want to manifest something, and you have the feeling like already you have it, even you have no idea yet. So it's the same kind of.
It's like that, but rather than, so with visualization and that, what they usually say is go to the details of it. So imagine if you want a new car, imagine the steering wheel and the type of car and the color and the feeling of driving it and all that. Now, instead of that, because with all of that, there's a lot of detail there for the conscious mind to go, ah, yeah, but I won't get it. Ah, but the last time I tried, but this hasn't worked before. You know, there's a lot of arguments there, a lot of opportunity for argument. With the touchstone, you just go, oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah. That's all. Yeah. So there's nothing to argue with, but you've got the end result.
Yes, I know, I understand. I
get it?
In the past, I experienced something like this and I manifest something. So I know the feeling, but I tried to do it again and I couldn't.
There you go. And sometimes we can't because we're going into the details of it, and then we've got conflict there. Contrast. So the combination is the touchstone together with the superpower and the new childhood memories. That's the success combination, the power combination. Okay. All right. Okay. Sound good?
Yes. Thank you.
Good. Thank you. Dziękuję. And Katrina is next on my screen. Good morning, Katrina. Or good afternoon for you.
Yes, hi all. What have I got today? Yeah, I'm in a calm, peaceful state.
Good.
Yeah, and I can never talk. So I have to read. Okay, so I love having my mommy in my life now, and she's keeping me calm all today. You know, peaceful and calm.
Perfect.
Because of mommy.
Very, very good.
Yeah.
Excellent. So that is such a great example of, you know, using these techniques and the effects, how effective they can be. So, you know, we call it reparenting yourself, it's kind of reparenting yourself, but also changing your mum the way you did. And practicing. So what you're doing is, so a lot of people change the memories, but then they don't do anything more with them. And the problem with that is the way the brain works is it needs repetition in order to establish the new references. And so what you're doing is you're using that repetition, and that's such a great example of how powerful the effects can be on your chemical state, which is your emotional state.
Because when I woke up this morning, the first thing I said was, "Oh, thank you for giving me my mommy. You know, giving me back my mommy. You know, I just was there, and just, oh my goodness, you know."
Perfect. Yay! Well done, Katrina, and keep going with that. And thank you so much for sharing it to encourage and inspire others as well. It's such a lovely, shiny example.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, and Cheryl is next. Hi, Cheryl. Good morning.
Good morning. I was sort of feeling the same way as Kara. I'm doing the money course, and I thought I had that all. You know, I thought, oh, my money beliefs are fine, and then I had the Trump thing, and I thought, my Trump thing is all under control, but. Then I had this terrible nightmare last night it was very vivid. There was like this gigantic spaceship. It was like almost as big as the Earth, and like, you know, all of those people from the administration were in there controlling the world. And I was like, I've got to get in there and find out what they're up to, you know? So like I did this elaborate scheme to try to get in there, but then they were after me. And that's how I woke up this morning, and I was like, ugh. So I think I think I have some fear going on too. Yes. Like Kara said, you put on the news, you see all these people, and you're just like, oh my God, where do these dark people come from? Like it just seems so scary. So the things that you responded will help me, I'm hoping, and I'm just going to keep trying to give love to the situation. And and then with the money thing, I think I was very confident. Oh, I don't know if I should do this. I don't want to mess up my brilliant money, you know, the way I've come so far from not thinking
Yeah.
I had any money at all. Now I'm doing so great. And then I'm like, are you really doing great though? You know, like, what are you afraid of? So I think that has answering those questions and things, it's all just brought the fear to the surface. So
Yes.
I hate to be afraid. Like, I just hate it. I just don't like that feeling. I don't want it, but I'm going to try to love it today.
Good,
So
good.
that's
Because
where,
that
that's where
is
I am.
the antidote. The
I know.
antidote to the fear is the love. Absolutely. So it's shining
Yes.
light into darkness. So good job. And here's the thing as well. So the dream, that's of course that's your subconscious processing everything that you've been experiencing, along with what the changes that are being made inside you. I did thank you for bringing that up, because I did want to mention this as well, because I know that there's a lot of posts on Facebook, like Kara was saying as well, and there's a lot about you know, a lot of conspiracy stuff, you know, that there's whatever's going on, there's all kinds of shady stuff going on. And here's the truth: whether there is or there isn't, so whether they're right or not is irrelevant to you. And the reason for that is what we experience is about what we create and attract and you know, allow in our lives. So what they're doing is their stuff, and that's that one. But each individual person has the ability to choose what they experience. So, for example, you know, somebody pointed out a post that someone put on about the virus not being real, and you know, it's a conspiracy and all that. And my response to that is, I don't know. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. It doesn't seem to be. To me, it seems all genuine, but I'm choosing what I'm experiencing, what's real for me. And I choose that's, you know, that it's, everything is above board and genuine, and the way I experience it fits in with that. Now, I may be wrong. There may be some conspiracy, but then unless I know and I can do something about it, it doesn't do anyone any good for me to get on. What did I say, Steve? Oh, yes. It doesn't do anyone any good to jump on that trampoline. Okay, because if you're jumping on the trampoline of, oh, it's a conspiracy, it's not getting you anywhere. You might as well get off and get on with your own life and do what is positive, what is empowering. And you know, we're very I'm very conscious of practicing what we teach, and so I'm very aware that it's easy to get sucked into that kind of thing, but it doesn't do any good at all for anyone.
Well, you're right. And my brother, so it's very close to home, because my brother he's an attorney, and he just filed a lawsuit against our governor.
Okay.
Because of the governor, you know, saying we have to social distance and wear masks and so on and so forth. So this person who has always been like my support system now has turned, I'm like, what is he doing?
Yeah.
So, and he's like trying to be in my ear to tell me the whole conspiracy thing. And so now I've just had to sort of social distance from him, you know?
Right.
You know.
And the way to, you know, so again, when I've seen these posts and that, the way to choose to see them is that they've been smoking their socks a little bit, and bless their hearts, they're doing the best they can, but you know, they're just not right in the head at the moment, and that's okay. You can love them as they are. So you don't have to believe, you don't have to buy into it. So somebody posts on Facebook, oh, this is not real, or it's a fake, or whatever, or the
a pandemic.
Right. And right. And the, you know, and the antivirus and the virus and all this, you can look at all of that and go, number one, either, you know, shame that they're just not well, it's okay. Or, oh, new TV program, interesting. Yeah, it's not one I'm going to be watching. You know, so we can choose. We don't have to buy into anything. We can choose to see things however will be beneficial to us and empowering. It's about, because, you know, seeing things as conspiracy or they're trying to do this, they're trying to do that, that is very disempowering. And even if it's true, looking at it that way is still disempowering. What is empowering is to choose your focus, and then if you have to deal with something, and let's say it is true and you have to deal with it, then you get into that empowered state first without emotion, and then you can be strategic. Then you can make a plan and go, okay, so this is a situation, so how can I make this work, or whatever it is. Then it's about strategy rather than emotions, because with emotions you haven't got your cognitive thinking online. You want your cognitive thinking online.
Yeah. Odille, I just wanted to jump in with the way that I kind of think about it for myself. I'm using the words shelter in place. So what's my shelter? You know, how am I sheltering in place? For me, it is finding that place of peace, unconditional love. It's kind of like being in the eye of a hurricane. So in the eye of the hurricane, the storm, or for us out here in tornado country, in the middle of the tornado, there's the calm in the middle of that, and the storm is swirling around outside of you. So I use, you know, going to Facebook or going to YouTube, and if I see something, I'm aware of what's the feeling that's being generated right away and immediately. If it looks like, smells like, feels like something that's going to be negative or fear, I'm diverting my attention away from that. It's like, nope, I'm choosing my state. I'm choosing the universe I'm creating right now. And if I keep myself in that place of calm and peace, that's being in the eye of the tornado. That's by the eye of the hurricane. And I can adjust myself with that, and the storm can continue to revolve around outside. And like Odille says, if there's something that I can do to impact, be of service, of value, then I'm going to do that. But in the meantime, I'm sheltering in place, and my shelter is that feeling of peace and calm and security in the middle of the storm.
Oh, I love that. I love that visualization. I'm going to keep that phrase, shelter in place. I'm going to think that when I'm seeing a story. Or thank you both.
That is fantastic. Thanks, Steve. That is such a great, and I've got the picture of the tornado and being in the middle of it. Yeah, perfect. Thank you, Cheryl, for sharing that. That's really good, and I know that you know, that will have all helped others as well. Fantastic. Good job, you. And so now in the chat, I see, so thank you first of all for all the lovely comments in the chat. That's very sweet, and love you all as well. And so there's a question: how long did it take for your circumstances to change? So I think that was referring to when I was saying, when I was doing I Love My Life, from there to, and it actually didn't take long. It took a few months, probably, it changed incrementally over a period of time, but it was a very quick, acceleration, and then it continued to change. So I started changing childhood memories in beginning of 2016. And that was when I was walking around singing this song. My life had already started to change when I changed those childhood memories. So I was already earning more money. I had, and that happened within probably a month or two, say a couple of months from when I first started to when I was earning enough money to not only pay my bills, but be traveling as well. And then that was 2016. And throughout 2016, you know, it was a bit up and down because it's not a straight line, but it never went down to where it was. It just, you know, it goes up sort of like that, like a bit of a roller coaster, but going up on an upward trajectory, because I was using zero tolerance. So I would not tolerate any negative thoughts. I caught them straight away. And because I was using the superpower, I was already a master at superpower when I started changing childhood memories. And then I met Steve in February 2017. So it was a year later that I actually met Steve, but that was, you know, my life had changed a lot already before I met him. And in fact, I would not have got together with Steve with my old programming. There was no way that somebody as fabulous as him would have been attractive to me, because it wouldn't have played with my old programs. So that's, you know, it all kind of works together, and without details. It's just, I love my life, or yes, I did it, or whatever it is. That is what helps there. All right, and so hopefully that answers your question. And I had fear this morning too, Kara. Thank you for the gift of the song. It was so strong feeling of love. I already forwarded to my 3 daughters. Yay, I'm so glad. I'm thrilled about that. And as a message for Steve, great. I haven't read that. I'll leave that for you, Steve. Great question, great response. I need to work on my pre-paving skill. I had to go through the whole exercise in order to feel the unconditional love, and I don't think my word works anymore. Oh, you use your name. Thanks, Carrie. You need to work. Yes. So if your word is not working anymore, that's okay. Just do that exercise, or you can pick a different word, or you can use the same one, or pick a different phrase. And so then use the exercise, use the full beginner's exercise to get into your state. Then go on to the unconditional bit where your subject is trying to get away from you, and you keep them filled with that love anyway. And then when you're feeling that love, then just repeat the new phrase or word over and over. Do that 3 times in a row, and then start using the word or phrase and allow yourself to go into that state. So just reset it, reprogram it. That's absolutely fine. There's no problem with doing that at all. All right. Bogoslava's smile is contagious. Yes, it is. I agree. Right. So this one says, why is it that problems or worries seem so much worse at night? I had the battle of my life, figuratively speaking, through the night, where no matter what I did to distract myself didn't work. I kept being drawn to a negative memory and negative feelings that got me into a very negative headspace and kept me awake for literally hours last night. And I completely understand that, and I'm very familiar with that. So I think, different people have different circadian rhythms. And I think this kind of determines the different experiences for people as far as time goes. Because I know for me, I'm very much a morning person. So I wake up like the Duracell bunny, and I'm happy, and everything's great in the morning. And when my sort of tricky time is late afternoon, early evening. So nighttime was more of a struggle for me as well. So it would be when nighttime came that I would be feeling nothing works. Why am I bothering? This is, life is terrible. What's the point? All of those kind of despondency and everything that would happen for me at night. And then I'd wake up in the morning and I'd go, I don't know what I was thinking of. I would be fine. And I think that part of that is that the brain runs out of resources. So, we're using energy throughout the day. And when the brain starts pulling energy from the body, we start to struggle. Now, for other people, it's the other way around. So they wake up in the morning feeling like, life is hard. I don't know why I'm bothering. I feel down, depressed. And then they improve during the day. And by nighttime, they're feeling much better. So it depends on the individual. So what I would suggest is pre-paving. So if your challenging time is at night, like mine was, pre-pave it during the day when you're feeling good. Send love, imagine tonight. Send love to that version of you that's going to be there tonight, and love that version of you regardless. one of the things I also wanted to suggest, and I want to suggest this for Carrie as well, for the sleeping thing, is when you are in that moment, and this goes for everyone. So when you are at night trying to sleep and you can't sleep, or you've got those, that negativity going on, or at any time, think about the exercise that we do here. So think about the aiming we did this morning. Remember that feeling of being filled by that love from everyone else in the group. Think of everyone in the group and remember them aiming love at you, and that can help as well. So that's one thing, pre-paving, thinking of everyone in the group here, and then also catching it as early as you can. And that can be difficult because it can be sneaky. So, but if you're able to catch it before it gets to the intense stage, and by catch it, I mean, watch something, read something, listen to something, go for a walk, whatever it takes. If it's nighttime, you're going to sleep, put on an audio book to fall asleep to. And there are a lot of empowering audiobooks out there that are helpful. So Neville Goddard is a good one, and there are a few like him who have also a very calming voice that you can listen to as you're falling asleep. And of course, it's very positive, empowering stuff. You can also listen, of course, to TED, to TED Talks, or people like Matt Kahn or Abraham Hicks, any of those calming, loving people that are coming from a place of love. Listen to those as you're falling asleep, so that can help take your mind off the negatives. I hope that helps. Excellent work, Katrina. Very good. If they either see folks struggling after contracting it or actually losing a loved one to it, they would make, the conspiracy thing, yes, of course. And that is that's of course the thing that comes to mind is that they obviously haven't been directly affected by it, which is why it's easy to think it's a conspiracy for them. My sister contracted COVID, and I can tell you this is no hoax. Yeah, and I know people who have had people, loved ones get ill, who are ill right now, and who have lost loved ones to this virus. So I know that it's but they're also not well in the head. You can see them as not well in the head. So because no amount of talking is going to convince them. We can only focus on how we are experiencing it. Smoking their socks and jumping on the trampoline. Odille, how funny. Yes, good. It's a good image to have. Yeah, so that's the thing. When you see people talking about it being a conspiracy and, complaining and demonstrating or whatever, just imagine them. They're jumping up and down on that trampoline. All right. I'm picturing my poor brother smoking his socks. Poor dear, LOL. He has a big heart, so must be the smoking. Exactly. And yes, I've had some email questions that I'm going to get to now. I have a question about aiming. When we are aiming at a trigger, I can feel love at the beginning, but then it turns to a neutral feeling. Does that mean I should stop and start again, or is neutral okay? So it is, you need to start again. So if you can't, if you lose the loving feeling and it becomes neutral, then it's like you've just toppled off the bike, just start again. So you do want to make sure that it is love and that you've got your heart open, that physical feeling of your heart being open. That's how you know you're tuned in. So it's like tuning into a radio station. Steve's answered that actually. I have the same problem at times. I can't hold the feeling for a long time and can't send the love to many different objects or person. So that's okay, then just keep doing it. So see that when you find you can't hold it for a long time, that's like, if you're lifting weights and you're lifting a new weight, you can't lift it many times because you haven't built up the muscles yet. So then you just take a rest, shake it out, and then give it another go, and then have a rest overnight and come back the next day, and you build on it like that. All right. So Eckhart Tolle is calming. Yes, very good. Oh, so Caro, did you want to? I'm going to unmute you. I can't unmute you. I noticed you've got your camera on. Did you want to give? Did you want to speak or?
No, I was just saying yes.
All right. Okay.
Thank you.
All right, love. Thank you. Okay, Eckhart Tolle is calming. Yes. So Eckhart Tolle, that's another good one to listen to when you're falling asleep, or at any time, in fact. Thank you, Odille. I did try a couple of those techniques, but nothing seemed to work. We'll keep at it. Okay. Yeah. And you know, sometimes it's like that, and then the important thing is to give yourself a break. So the next, like today, now just go, well, that happened and now it's over, and now I'm just going to do my best from now on. And so pre-pave today, do as much today as you can to build up the reservoir of feel-good chemicals before this evening, and see if you can also avoid any negative things. So that includes television programs or, you know, anything like that, just so that you are able to keep the level of feel-good chemicals up and the level of stress chemicals down, and see how that goes. And we'll do some aiming at it now as well. Hit the easy button is what Abraham Hicks says. Yes, I like that too. Hit the easy button. Very good. Thank you, Odille. Good advice. Good. You're very welcome. Feeling somewhat triggered by the discussion about the virus, especially the comments about smoking their socks or not being well. Okay, as I am one who believes there is more going on than we are told by the powers that be. Fair enough. Not a complete hoax, but some info we're being told is incorrect. So I am being seen as not well in this group now, and I may have to leave. Okay, so don't leave yet, because we'll answer this first. There is much evidence by very well educated and well respected doctors and other professionals, which I can't get into here, and I don't think it's appropriate, right, to even be discussing it here, and especially criticizing those who have a different perspective. Okay, so thank you for pointing that out, and it's a fair point. So here's the thing: the smoking the socks thing is for each person. It's a tool or a technique for each person to cope with whoever in their life is triggering them, so that they don't get triggered by them. So in other words, from the other point of view now, so if the conspiracy theory, let's say that, or conspiracy theory, you know what I mean, that there's something's going on that we don't know, that is being hidden. So that, from that point of view, that is the case. Then the people who are who don't believe that, who are falling for the whatever's being presented as true that is not true, if you know what I mean. So who are falling for the non-truths, or the manipulation is the word I'm looking for. So people who are falling for buying into the manipulation, you can see them as they've been smoking their socks. So it's a way of not getting triggered by them. It's whichever perspective you have, this is to empower you to not be triggered by the others who are contradicting, or who are on the opposite side of whatever it is. So the point is, none of us actually know without being in those positions. So any of us can only go with what we've seen, what we hear, the information that we're given. So for example, when you say very well educated and well respected doctors and professionals, so yes, you can only go by what you've read and seen. So the point is still that if it's just interesting, that's great. Then you read it, you listen to it, that's fine. It's not doing any harm. If it is triggering you, if it's having a negative effect on you, that's when you want to go, it may be true or it is true, but knowing that and getting into it is not going to do it unless I can change it. So if there's something you can do to change it, then that's great, then you can do that. And even if you can, you want to get into a calm, strategic state first before you take action to change it, if you can. So, I mean, there are things one can do. You can write to, you can do petitions, and there are things you do, but doing any of those from a place of triggered, of negative emotions, won't achieve much except get you more stressed and affect your physical health. So you want to get to the point where you go, it looks like this is going on. There's nothing I can do about it. I can't make it change right now. So I'm going to leave it as it is and focus on what I can change, what I can do. So I hope that helps to, Kara?
I'm not triggered by other people's point of view. I got triggered because I felt scared I was losing my tribe. Because they were seeing me as being unwell and high on drugs or something. And it's part of my tribe, so I got scared about that. I see other people's point of view on Facebook and everything as interesting.
Okay. Then
and
that's
I think
okay.
that the point is, and where we're going to be operating from, what we're teaching is, what can we be doing to keep ourselves in that place of unconditional love?
Yeah.
And when I'm aware of something that's starting to bring up that trigger, something that I know, okay, that feels like I could go down the pathway of being angry with that or feeling scared about that. That's when it's like, okay, I need to return back to my safe place of feeling that unconditional love. And I'm using techniques like, and what Odille is saying, okay, I'm just imagining that they're in that place of, they're in their reality. So it's really, I think about, my parents, I think about my dad, if I go to my dad, I'm going to get, I could easily, if from my old position, I could easily get triggered into some, getting into some kind of a struggle, wherever he's at with whatever's going on. And now I can just go, you know what? I use the little technique of just saying, you know what? He's kind of slipping into Alzheimer's. He's just not where he used to be. So I use that in my mind to keep myself in a place of feeling calm. Because I
totally agree with that. Okay. And normally I can do that. I just got
yes, because it felt personal. Yeah.
Yep.
I got scared this morning on Facebook because of things heating up, not triggered by the other point of view, but just things heating up and like, whoa, where is this going?
Yeah.
People are talking about a civil war, and so I got a little scared about
it. And here's the thing as well to remember is that when we're talking about if somebody's triggering you, imagine that they've been smoking their socks, or they're not well in the head, or they're jumping on a trampoline. That is not directed at just anyone who has that viewpoint or who knows that that's going on or anything like that. So it's definitely not, it doesn't apply here in this group. What it applies to is people who are coming to you going, this is terrible, we're all going to die, or whatever, those people, and you're not doing that. So that's definitely not, just to clarify, that was absolutely doesn't apply to anyone in this group, because everyone is here to empower themselves and to support each other. And you've probably seen in the comments how many supportive comments there are for you in the chat. I mean, sorry. Oh yes, there's some. You have mail. you have quite a lot of mail.
I better read my mail.
Very very good. So while you're doing that, I'm gonna let's I think that, oh no, I had some email, some email questions to quickly answer as well. So let me just bring that up. Here we go. Okay, so these email questions came in this morning, so I'm going to answer them quickly. I know we're running over, but I think this is important, and then we'll do the exercise. So the first question is a question on the due justice letter to current relationships that are not ideal and have issues. So, for example, writing to a parent, child, or spouse you're currently living with and know that the issue will present itself the next day. Can this technique be done for current problems, or is it only meant for the past, i.e. your childhood? So very good question. Thank you for asking that, because I know a lot of people will have that same question. And if you have an issue with someone today, the way to address it is to go, what does this person, my issue with this person, what does it remind me of from my childhood? And or who does this person remind me of from my childhood? Because the issues you have with anyone in your life today are based on your childhood references. So it's not actually, it looks like it's about this person, but it's not. The references are coming from your childhood. So let's say I have an issue with someone and they remind me of my mother or my father or whatever, or my grandparents, or the situation reminds me, then I'm going to write a letter to the childhood people first, to the mother, the father, the grandparents, whatever it is. And only once you've done all that, and when you do that, you'll probably notice that your relationship or your experience of the person you're dealing with now starts to change already. And if there's still stuff there, it will be certainly a lot less, and then you can write a letter about, to that person without sending it to them. So then you can do the due justice to that person, but clean the childhood first, because that is where the references are coming from. So hopefully that clarifies that. There's 3 questions. So the next one is, can the superpower be sent to our childhood? Absolutely it can, to help rewrite the childhood. So we'll put that on the list for today, so we'll demonstrate that. So the answer is yes, and we'll demonstrate it. And then the final one, can the superpower feeling be sent to food? For example, cravings or sensitivities. So yes, absolutely, and we can demonstrate that as well. So I'll put on my list here childhood and food, and let's have a go at that. So is there anything else? Just some love exchanging places. That's wonderful. Very, very good. All right, and so childhood and food cravings. All right, let's do it. So take a deep breath, close your eyes, and go into your superpower state. However you do that, so using your word or phrase, or using the exercise, however you get into it. Fill yourself with that love, that light, that energy. Love each cell just for existing. Very, very good. And now allow that light or energy to overflow from you and fill the whole room you're in. Feel your power as that light shines out from you and fills the room. Feel that expansion in your heart as your power shines out from you. Very, very good. And now think of your subject. Fill your subject with that light, that energy, that love and appreciation. And now imagine your subject doesn't want to be with you, and keep them filled with that light, that love, that energy anyway. Good job. And now let's send that love, that light, that energy to Kara. Fill Kara with that beautiful light, that energy from the tips of her toes to the top of her head and out to her fingertips. So she's now full of that love, that light, that energy. Love Kara just for existing. Very, very good. Good job. And now let's go to Boguslava and fill Boguslava with that same light, that energy, that love just for existing. From the tips of her toes to the top of her head and out to her fingertips. So she's full of that light, that energy, that love. Very, very good. And now to Katrina. Imagine Katrina being filled with that same light or energy. Love Katrina just for existing. From the tips of her toes to the top of her head and out to her fingertips. Good job. And now to Cheryl. Fill Cheryl with that same light, that energy. From the tips of her toes to the top of her head, out to her fingertips. Love Cheryl just for existing. Very good. And now to Caro. Imagine Caro being filled with that same light, that energy, that pure unconditional love. From the tips of her toes to the top of her head, out to her fingertips, love Caro just for existing. Very, very good. And now to Lisa. Fill Lisa with that same light, that energy. From the tips of her toes to the top of her head and out to her fingertips, love Lisa just for existing. Good job. And now to everyone who's on the call who doesn't have their camera on, who's incognito, love each of those people. From the tips of their toes to the top of their head, out to their fingertips, fill each one with that light, that energy. Love each one just for existing. Good job. And now I want you to think back to your childhood. And I want you to send this love, this light, this energy into your whole childhood. Whatever that was, however it is, love it all anyway. Love everyone who was involved. Love you, of course, most importantly. Fill that little you with that light, that energy, that power. See that light or energy shining out from that little you and filling everything around you. Filling the other people, circumstances. Your whole childhood is full of this unconditional love, this power. Very, very good. Now I want you to think of any food or cravings, any food issues or cravings, and fill those with the same love, this light. Love them no matter what, exactly as they are, even if they never change. Love them all anyway. And bearing in mind that food cravings mostly are about love anyway. So feel the love, fill yourself with this love. And next time you feel a craving for something that you don't want, promise yourself that you will make the deal with yourself that you will go into this state first. You will first fill yourself with this love, this light, this energy. Imagine hugging the little you and fill the food with that same love, that light, that energy, and fill the part of you that craves the food with the same love, light, energy, regardless of whether you eat it or not. And only after you've done that will you choose whether you're going to eat it or not. So make that deal with yourself, and then take it easy on yourself and love yourself no matter what, because it's the love that's going to make the difference, not the food. All right, you can open your eyes. How was that for everyone? And any questions? Any questions, comments, concerns? Lisa, good. Very good. Excellent. As Steve says, see you tomorrow, everyone. I have he's got a session right now, a private client session coming up shortly. Shelter in place, your superpower state, and stay out of the fear. Love to you all. There you go. So, any questions before we end today? I know it was a little bit longer today, but hopefully it was helpful. Great, thank you. Love the added part about food or drink you don't want to consume or eat. Good. I hope that was helpful. Try it out and see what happens. Because certainly at the very, very, very least, whether you're going to eat something or not, your chemical state is going to make more of a difference. So when you are feeling, when you're in a feel-good state, when you're in the superpower state, your body is going to react differently to food and drink anyway. So good. You're very welcome. I'm so glad. All right, everyone. Well, have a fantastic rest of your day and tonight, and we'll see you same time tomorrow. Look after yourselves. Be kind to yourselves. And lots of love to you all. All right. Bye-bye now.